All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thanks for taking your time to be here. Today, we're going to be ranking 5 common pieces of health and fitness advice from top tier all the way down to you shouldn't even listen to this garbage. And we're going to explain why we have those feelings too. If this is your first time meeting us, my name is Jonathan. This is my wife, Blakely. We own and operate Digital Barbell. We've been helping people get in shape online through Digital Barbell full-time since 2019. Before that, Blakely owned a gym, and we have well over 10 years of helping people just like you get in shape. If you'd like to learn more about what Digital Barbell is, of course, subscribe to this podcast, but you can also head to our website, see what we're all about, and the different ways that we can help you. Man, we've got some really important announcements to get into before jumping into the topic. We have 2 really exciting things for you, and they both start on June 15th, so listen up and pay attention. The first thing is we're going to be doing a step challenge for our clients, and for the first time, we're going to be opening this up to non-clients also. If you're watching this, you're listening to it, you're welcome to join.
Yeah, the whole community is welcome to take part in this.
There's no cost, there's no catch. This is just a way to help you stay active this summer and have a goal to chase as life gets busy.
But there's no cost or catch, but there is a prize.
That's true.
And so everybody who is involved is eligible for the prize, not just our clients.
So we're working on our summer t-shirt designs. It's going to kind of have like a little bit more of an adventure theme and training for life theme. And this challenge is going to run from June 15th all the way through July 15th. Yeah. The goal is going to be to get an average of 10,000 steps per day, meaning like you only have to hit 70,000 steps for the week. If you are a little bit low one day, you can make it up the next day. And the prize is going to be for number 1, whoever gets the most steps in the 4-week challenge. And then a second prize, because there's going to be a lot of people who hit the goal. I already know that because we have a really active audience.
So the goal is 70,000 steps a week. I don't know if you were clear on that.
I did say that.
But that is the goal. Like if you got 9,000 steps on one day, you could get 11,000 steps the next day. That's the flexibility of having that weekly goal versus daily goal. But the goal is to like win the prize. It's 70,000 steps per week for 4 weeks.
So like I said, one person's going to get a prize, just whoever hits the most steps in the challenge. And out of all the people who are consistent and hit their step goal all 4 weeks, we're going to do a drawing and pick a random winner out of that. And you're both going to get one of these free t-shirts. As soon as the design is finalized, we'll share with you what it looks like.
Yeah.
But it's going to be awesome.
And the reason we're doing this is just, as summer hits, sometimes things get so busy and, sometimes fitness might take a back seat, and we're just trying to encourage everybody to stay consistent this summer, keep moving.
Yep.
And maybe it's even easier for you this summer because you have extra time or extra daylight hours to go for evening walks, or you're vacationing more and you're like going on hikes and things like that. So
there's no website for this. We're going to put a link to our email address in the show notes for this episode. All you have to do is email us, and we'll get you signed up, get you put into the tracking spreadsheet, tell you how to do that. And we're going to start on June 15th. Yep. So we'd love to have you join us for that. All right, the second thing is another challenge. This is what we're calling the 8-week summer strength challenge. So we know that staying on track with your actual workouts outside of going for walks and stuff like that is challenging in the summer. I said last week on the podcast that it could be even more challenging than the holidays, honestly, because you are traveling, kids are out of school, there's more interruptions, more barbecues, things like that that just make it more difficult to stay on track. And that summer strength challenge is going to give you an opportunity to jump into our coaching program at 3 different levels for a discount for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So you have the option to work with us one-on-one, to get workouts, to have us coach you. And you're going to start this on the same day as the step challenge, whether you do it or not, on June 15th. Yep. So this is going to carry you through the majority of the summer.
Yeah, basically June 15th all the way through mid-August.
Right.
And you don't have to end there, but that's the extent of the discount.
Right. And we're only going to extend this offer to 10 people across the 3 different coaching options. So if you're hearing this now and you've been on the fence about like, man, I really think these people can help me. I'm worried about staying on track this summer. I don't want to lose the progress that I've worked so hard for. Please jump in on this offer. And why don't you tell us about what the 3 different tiers of this challenge are you can jump into?
Yeah, that's right. So to take advantage of this offer, all you have to do is go to digitalbarbell.com/DGTL-store.
Actually, I made a new website for it. Yes. digitalbarbell.com/summer-strength.
Okay. digitalbarbell.com/summer-strength, and that will lay out all of these options I'm about to talk about and allow you to get the discount right there. So you can work fully custom with us. So that is like us fully customizing your workouts, telling you the weights to use, reviewing your videos, giving you, options for when you travel, making adjustments throughout your, schedule, all of the stuff. Fully customized workouts, normally $250. You'll get 2 months of that for $200. So $50 off each month for 2 months, for your first 2 months of custom coaching with us.
Another thing about custom is like, we're going to have you fill out a questionnaire where we learn about your schedule, your goals, your equipment, all that stuff, and then tailor our training methodology to all those things. So it's like the highest level service. Some people like to say white glove.
What day a week do you work out? What type of gym do you work out in? Do you have a home gym? Do you have like more machines? All that stuff is totally customized to you. The second option, this middle option, is getting our workouts, but with a coach. So this is like the workouts that we already provide our clients, not customized, but you're going to get a coach to review your workouts on the back end. So that'll be one of us to, make sure that you are using the right weights. Like you'll choose your weight, but then we'll look at the video and we'll tell you like, okay, your form looks great and the intensity that you're using looks great. Let's keep moving, or let's reduce the weight and work on form here, or let's add some weight because you're looking awesome. Things like that.
So basically you'll have the opportunity to submit form check videos through your workouts. We get notified on our end when you do your workout. We go in and review it, give you feedback on every workout, say, that looked awesome, you're ready to go up and weight next week.
So with this discount, that's normally on $150 a month. It's going to be $120 a month. So you get $30 off your first 2 months of the awesome workouts with an awesome coach. And our last tier is just awesome workouts. So you're going to get up to 5 workouts per week, depending on like what program you're in. Up to 5 workouts per week. $50 a month, you'll get your first 2 months for $40. So $10 off your first 2 months if you just want to try out our workouts, see what it's all about. And bonus, one day a week for one movement, I'll add like a little video icon in there, be like, hey, submit us a video. So if you're in this tier, you'll still get some video love from us. So you'll like submit a video if you want to, and we'll check out that one movement per week.
And you mentioned something real quick there that I want to make sure people understand. You said depending on which program you choose. If you go with the give me just the workouts or give me the workouts plus a coach option, every week when Blakely writes the programming for our clients, she writes different versions of it, like a novice version where if you're a beginner, or just a dumbbell version if you work out at home and you only have access to dumbbells and a bench and basic stuff like that.
A barbell option.
Right.
And even just like a strength option where I just reduce the amount of conditioning that you get, but it's more of like strength-based workouts.
So after you sign up, we'll communicate with you, figure out which is the best match for you, and get you rolling with that program. Again, only 10 spots to do this. Everybody's going to start on June 15th. This is going to be the thing that helps you stay consistent this summer. And if you stay consistent this summer, you won't feel like you're having to dig out of a hole when August and September comes, because once that time of year comes, we're already rolling into the holidays. Wouldn't it be amazing to already get through the summer, not only like stay on track and not lose progress that you've worked hard for, but actually make a lot of progress in this 8 weeks, especially if you never worked with a coach or had a really well-designed training program. Get ready to see results that you haven't seen before. And this can work for beginners too. This isn't just for advanced people. A lot of people come to us with very little experience in lifting weights.
And we say this all the time, but by far the best thing that we hear from our clients is like having a plan is the thing that has made them be successful. So whether it's
and a little bit of accountability along with it,
whether it's just the workouts is your plan or a fully customized coaching experience is your plan, all of those things, just having a plan is what keeps people consistent. And last thing I'm going to say about all this is like, yes, we all have like summer vacations planned, 1 or 2 weeks of time where we're going to be like, I'm
going to be gone for a week. What do I do?
Yeah, so don't let that be an excuse this summer. That's what we do for all of our clients is we give you a plan for those weeks that you're on vacation. Whether maybe you're hiking, you're going to get 70,000 steps a day during this time, and you really don't need any workouts, or you're going to be at visiting family and you're going to be able to bring your dumbbells, you're going to be traveling in your Airstream, whatever it is, we can help you navigate that time so that you don't completely like derail and lose track.
Yep. And I guess the most important thing to say is the website again is digitalbarbell.com/summer strength, and the code that you need to use to save the money on no matter which option you go with is strong summer.
Yep.
Without
Strong
the code,
Summer.
you're paying retail price. So use that
Right.
code Strong Summer at digitalbarbell.com.
Just go to the website and all this will be laid out for you right there.
Okay. We'd love to work with you guys. So all right, let's get into the topic. We're going to rank 5 common pieces of health and fitness advice. And the way this ranking system works.
Let's just go 1 to 5. Like
right.
5 is the best, 1 is the worst. Like give it a 1 to 5. Like,
that works.
Like a movie, 5 stars
5
or
stars.
1 star.
Okay, I like the star system. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. The first piece of common advice is that doing something is better than nothing. What's your rank on this piece of advice?
I'll give it 2.5 stars.
Wow, okay, I'm going to give it a 3-star. I didn't know we could do half stars, but I'll give this 3-star advice. And maybe you're surprised to hear that if you've followed us for any length of time or you follow us on Instagram, because we've written in captions and we've said on this podcast before that doing something is better than nothing. And it's definitely a strategy we've used in our own life to, quote, stay on track in the past. So with that being said, like, why did you not give it a 5 if it's something that we've said before?
Because I do think there is something to it. Like, for example, a week of travel. Maybe I'm not going to get to the gym. I'm not going to get the barbell workouts or the dumbbell workouts in, but I've got my bands with me and I'm going to be getting tons of steps. During that 1 week period of time, me getting tons of movement in and keeping my consistency by, 3 to 4 days a week doing my band workouts is gonna be the thing to not like push me into like results, but it's going to be the thing to not throw me off when I get back home. When I get back home, I already have the same schedule is implemented in my mind. I haven't like completely like derailed myself for a week. So
which is a big
in
mental
that case,
component
like
too.
Something is better than nothing is going to be a success for me. Same thing as like for a beginner, like, okay, like you're absolutely doing nothing and you haven't done anything for like the last 5 years. Doing something is going to be better than doing nothing, but that's short-lived. Doing something better than nothing is not going to be the thing that's going to give you the results that you want. And I think that using this mindset on repeat is one of the things that can hold you back, because you're gonna like, if you have this excuse in the back of your head, something is better than nothing, but you throw it out 1 or 2 times a week, that's where you can get into trouble, because you might think like, oh, something's better than nothing. A couple of years go by and you've been doing more something better than nothing than the real thing, and you're going to be wondering why you don't have the results that you think that you should have, because you've been doing, quote, something. You
forgot to adjust your expectations for results down to the something level instead of the level of what you should have been getting if you're actually doing your training program. Think about if you had a list of responsibilities at your job. You had a good relationship with your boss, and she came into your office at the end of the day and was like, what'd you get done today on this project that I gave you? You're like, you know what? 3 other things came up. I had a bunch of fires to put out. I didn't get a lot of progress made on that project, but I did do this little bit of something. Your boss after that day would be like, all right, that makes sense. Like, I'm going to give you a free pass on this. Now, let's say 3 times a week, she came into your office and was like, how are we doing on that project? And every day you said, I was super busy. I didn't have time to do all of the work on the project, but I did do a little something. You're not going to have that job for very long, because doing a little bit of something is now like your norm. You've lowered your level of commitment and, action towards the goal down to the very bare minimum. And the expectation when you took the job was not that.
Right.
So you're going to get fired. So if on occasion, sure, something is better than nothing when it comes to your training and your exercise.
Yeah.
But if something becomes your training program, get ready to fire yourself, because you're not going to be getting results.
It just made me think of the example of like our dog training, our dog's out of control. I'm just kidding, not totally, but they're sleeping angels right now. But, we'll be on a walk and we'll be like, sit. Oh, look, they did it. I mean, that's like the something is better than. Every once in a while, we'll be like, give them a command and see if they do it. Oh, look, they did it. But that something is better than nothing is not getting us to have these trained dogs that have like 100% recall, that we can like be in a big group of dogs and they're so well behaved and like attentive to us, and all the things that we in our mind, I think that we want our dogs to be. That the something is better than nothing is getting us nowhere, because
that would only come from doing something consistently.
Right. Every once in a while we'll do a little bit of training, but it's not consistent training, and it's not getting them trained the way we want them to be trained.
Right. It's sometimes something and mostly nothing.
Okay, we've crushed that one.
All right, the second piece of common health and fitness advice is that you have to track your calories to be in a calorie deficit. What do you rank this?
You have to track your
piece of
calories to be in
advice?
a calorie deficit. I'll give it a 2.
That's pretty low. Yeah, I mean, if this is the advice that you have to track your calories, I'm going to give it a 1.
Yeah.
Because it's just simply not true.
Right.
It's false advice, so that's pretty terrible. If you don't know, a calorie deficit it's a state your body can be in where it's forced to burn your existing body fat for energy. It's how all weight loss is created, no matter what diet you choose. There's a calorie deficit, there's caloric maintenance, and there's a calorie surplus. And which one of these like stages you're in determines your body weight over the long term. Calorie maintenance means you're eating about the number of calories it takes to maintain your weight. A calorie surplus pushes you to gain weight. And as I said, a calorie deficit is what creates weight loss. So why is it bad advice that you have to track your calories to be in a calorie deficit? Well, let's just say you're not tracking your calories and your body is staying about the same. That's true for most people. Most people don't track their calories in an app. And most people who listen to this podcast, their weight stays about the same throughout the year. Now, what if you looked at your daily habits, your routines? Because most people are pretty routine with their diet. You know, the exact same meals every day. But if we zoom out over the course of the week, everything's about the same from week to week. What if we eliminated a meal out of a day every single day of the week, and you just skip that meal? Or if we cut back on the portions of a couple of different meals throughout the day.
I wouldn't just skip a meal.
Yeah, well,
I mean, unless it's like
the point
a
is, if you
snack,
made a change to your diet that brought the total number of calories per day that you're eating down, you've created a calorie deficit, whether you track those calories or not.
Right.
So it's not true that you have to track calories to be in a deficit. Tracking calories is really just like an accounting system to show you how many calories you are eating. And if you're somebody who is really focused on losing fat, it can be a tool during that time to make sure that you are in a calorie deficit. But our goal with our clients when we do nutrition coaching with them isn't to make them just track their food to be in a calorie deficit, but to look at their overall day, week, and lifestyle as a whole and help them change the habits, the routines, the structure, the choices, the environment, all those things around their eating, so that if we want to create a deficit, we just tweak those things and they don't have to actually count the calories to create the deficit. Sure, we might bust it out as a tool for awareness in the beginning to kind of get a handle on where their calories are and see where we want to change the habits that are behind those calories.
Right.
But then we want to move away from that and rely back on the underlying routines and habits instead of having to open up your phone in an app, put your food on a scale, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't have to track calories to lose weight.
Yeah, you just have to pay attention and know what you're eating by just thinking through it and being responsible.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've picked up food 5 times this week. There's one thing, like just being attentive to what you're doing. It's kind of like tracking your finances or anything like that. You can just be like frustrated that you're spending too much, but never like taking the time to log into your bank account or write things down on a pad of paper and be like, here's what I'm spending. And that frustration can just like spin and spin and spin. If you like, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to actually like think about what I'm spending. And that's kind of why I gave it that 2, is because I think like, yes, you do not have to track your calories to be in a deficit. My favorite way to do it is just to like hone in on a couple things that I'm like, okay, a lot of times I take too much rice. I'm not going to have that snack after dinner that I don't really need, or I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
And all these little tweaks, if I pull back on those things and I have some awareness around what I'm doing, it works for me every time. I will drop like a pound or 2 if I feel like, okay, I need to drop a pound or 2 or whatever, or just like not even pound, or just like feel like, okay, I'm like feeling a little fluffy or whatever, let's tone it down. That's always my first tactic.
Yeah, you don't ever jump to tracking.
It works all the time. But I will say that like there are the things that like protein I like to make sure I get enough of. So I'll like a lot of times put my protein amount on a scale. And rice and things like that I tend to take too much of. Yeah. So it's good for me to put my plate on a scale to make sure I'm taking not too much rice and I'm taking in enough protein.
Yeah.
And so that's why I gave it a 2 and not a 1, just because I do think like I have had awareness in the past of like I know what amount of rice, what amount of protein, what I should be taking, because I've had that education. So now I don't have to go back to full-blown tracking, but I can just go back to a quick measurement to make sure I'm dialed in.
And so like, what if somebody they hears this and they're like, well, how will I know if I'm in a deficit if I'm not tracking? Well, how would you know if you're spending too much money if you weren't just like going full bore, like Dave Ramsey envelope system banking. You would have to check yourself. You'd have to have a metric to track to know if what you're doing is working. So in the case of fat loss, it's monitoring your weekly average weight, checking your measurements and your progress pictures. If in fact in a calorie deficit consistently over 3-4 weeks, you'll start to see those metrics change. Probably the first thing you'll start to see change is your average weekly weight. Notice I said like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. It's not like you're in a calorie deficit one day and you should expect the scale to go down the next day. It doesn't work like that. There's a delayed reaction to any nutritional change
and you said
that you make.
Average weekly weight. You didn't say daily weight.
Yeah, you got to get rid of all those daily fluctuations. That's a fool's errand to think like what you did yesterday is going to show up tomorrow. No. What you did last week is going to show up in this week's average across the whole week.
And not letting yourself get frustrated by the times where there are like little fluctuations in the scale daily. And that's why that weekly average is way more important to focus on. It's kind of like the step challenge we were talking about in the beginning. Like if I was just like get 10,000 steps a day and then one day you had you couldn't get outside and whatever, and you got 8,000, like you're like, oh, the whole contest is over. No, that's not what we want. It's like we want you to be able to be successful. And same thing with like you're weighing yourself. Like weigh yourself, allow yourself to be like, okay, it's a little bit up, it's a little bit down, it's a little bit up, it's a little bit down, and then look at that weekly average. And
like just as far as expectations, I'd like to tell you that like if you're losing on average, I'm talking again about your average weekly weight, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 pound per week, pretty consistently, you're in a calorie deficit. If your average weight is the same every week for 4 weeks, you're not in a calorie deficit. It's time to decrease your calories a little bit. And again, you don't have to jump into an app to decrease your calories. You just need to look at your overall daily routine and decide where are you going to pull out some of your portions, reduce a couple things to get some of those calories out.
Quick things for us is like we will like stop buying chips because chips is one of the things that we both find that easy to snack on. So we'll be like, okay, don't bring chips into the house. Like get chips on the outside. Or like the evening snack of like having like a popsicle or something like that. Like that's something that's pretty easy to like cut out and get a handful of fruit or something if you're hungry after dinner. Yeah. And like I said, like watching portions. Like I'll dial in the portions of maybe like oatmeal, rice, potatoes, things like that. I'll just make sure I know what portion I'm getting, and those are the kind of the things that help overall.
Or if you reduce those quantities of those things, like you can increase the quantity of super low calorie stuff like salad and other low calorie vegetables to kind of make up for some of the volume that you lose.
But these little tweaks don't have an overall effect on my day. They don't make me feel like oh my gosh, I can't have a snack right now, I'm starving or anything like that. You don't even like register it in your mind, honestly. You're having the same plate of food. Yeah. There might be a little less, but in the end you probably don't even notice it.
I'm picturing somebody listening to this and being like, okay, all that makes sense, but that sounds like really overwhelming to try to figure out for myself. And I didn't intend to turn this into a pitch for our nutrition coaching, but that's exactly what we help people do. When you start nutrition coaching with us, we literally are going to see pictures of what you're eating so that we can help you make these suggestions as we're tracking the metrics that I talked about before. And it gives us a clear picture of what effect the changes that we're making have made.
By metrics, you mean like your body weight, your measurements, your progress picture. You're not talking about tracking food.
Yeah, exactly. The metrics of your progress, because your progress will tell you if what you're doing is working, and that's like how we handhold you. Like, and as we make these suggestions, we make sure it's something that you feel like isn't a diet, so that it's something you can continue on with as part of your regular lifestyle.
All right,
we beat that one to a pulp.
Number 3, go for it.
All right, number 3 piece of advice is that you need to eat 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound per day that you weigh.
5.
I'm going to give it a 4. Oh. Not quite a 5.
Not quite a 5.
You want to say why you gave it a 5?
Well,
that's the best.
Yeah, I think that right now protein is hot. Protein is popping.
So hot right now.
Protein is hitting, whatever they say about it. Like it is popular right now. People, we watch the Today Show a lot, and they're constantly talking, having these health experts on. They're like, you should eat, and they'll give you this exact advice. You should eat this much protein, and foods are packed with protein, and people are pushing protein in, and that's great. I think that eating enough protein is essential.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that's going to help you make the progress that you want to see by building muscle.
So I gave it a 4 because it's good advice, but it's incomplete advice, and it can be a little bit, it could set you up for unrealistic expectations because it's incomplete advice. So if you don't already know, the protein in food gets broken down by your body and turned into these building blocks for new muscle. Both of you are trying to like build new muscle, and if you already work out and you need to repair the muscle damage that you're creating with your workouts. So without eating enough protein, you're just not putting the fuel in to start to see those physical changes that you want. But if the advice is just to eat 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound per day, but nothing about the training side of things, you might think that you're going to start to see significant changes in your body. But remember, protein comes in as the helper to facilitate the changes that the training is really creating.
They usually have that at the end. They're like, here's your protein goals.
Work out, go work out.
And also like work out. So, I was just assuming they'd seen the whole list of health, of things that you should do for your health and fitness.
And when I say training, like if your goal is to improve your body composition, you need to be doing the kind of training that we give our clients. It's not enough just to incline walk with a weighted vest, do body weight stuff like Pilates or yoga or boot camps, that kind of stuff. Those things don't create enough damage to the muscle that the protein needs to come in and do the repair to make it bigger, stronger, faster, all those kinds of things. So protein on its own is only half of the equation. You got to support it with the training. And it kind of is like a linear relationship between how much training you're doing and how intense that training as to how much protein you need. And it's also a linear relationship with how much protein you need and how much muscle mass you have. It stands to reason that a 115 pound female with very little muscle mass doesn't need to eat a lot of protein because there isn't a lot of muscle mass to repair. She needs enough protein and enough calories to build new muscle. But a 230 pound bodybuilder, they need a lot more protein because they have a lot more muscle that's going to be needing to be repaired after those workouts.
I'm going to change mine to a 4.5, not only for the reasons that you said, because it is incomplete advice of like this one thing alone is not going to build muscle.
Yeah.
Or, but I do think it's important to eat enough protein. But I think that in the grocery store, be careful about this, because since protein is having its moment, protein is everywhere. Not the real protein that you would normally just buy is like your chicken and your fish and your, beef.
Actual protein.
Those are the actual proteins that you need to be eating. But the Cheerios now have protein. The
Pop-Tarts.
Pancakes. Things are getting loaded with protein because of this. And I think that just be careful to not buy into that marketing scheme and be like, okay, I'm going to get my protein from my protein packed Cheerios in the morning versus 3 scrambled eggs.
Right. Yeah, at some point, just eating more protein is just eating more calories. Yeah. Once you get enough protein, you have enough protein. And if you're focusing your protein intake on these foods that are hacked to have more protein, you are certainly going to eat a lot of extra calories that aren't protein in the name of just trying to eat more protein. And if body composition, healthy weight, performance are all your goals, tier 1 advice in nutrition is eat the right number of calories. That's where the majority of the results are going to come from, is just total quantity of calories. And then underneath that is the macronutrient breakdown between protein, carbs, and fat. So if we skip over the total quantity thing of calories and we're only eat more protein, we could screw up the whole equation and end up gaining weight unexpectedly just in the name of trying to eat more protein. So watch out for those sneaky high, fake protein foods. Our rule that we've said many, many times, and I know has been super helpful to people over the years, if you want to find out in particular if a snack truly is high protein, just look at the number of grams of protein in the serving, multiply it times 10, or just add a 0 if you're not good at math, and that number should be higher than the number of calories in the serving. A quick example of this would be a Cliff Bar. A Cliff Bar has I'm talking about the old school I guess they're like $1.50 now. They used to be 99 cents. But a Cliff Bar has about 260 calories in it, and I believe they have about 5, maybe 9 grams of protein. Let's be generous and say it has 9 grams of protein. 9 times 10, that's 90. That's far less than the 260 calories. So that is not a high protein snack, even though it has protein in it. And what that means is a lot of the calories in that are coming from carbs and fat. And that's not evil. We eat Cliff Bars quite regularly in a pinch, but we don't look at it as like a main source of protein or a way to get more protein into our diet. On the other hand, a Chobani single serve Greek yogurt has 20 grams of protein in it, and I believe it has 160 calories. So 20 times 10, that's 200. That's far more than 160. That shows you that that food is legitimately getting most of its calories from protein, and would be a wise choice if you're trying to eat more protein.
Obviously, cottage cheese is one of those high protein snacks because it's impossible to find anymore in the grocery store.
Cottage cheese is like suffering the fate of the high protein movement right now.
I mean, maybe like companies like Daisy and Good Culture are just like killing it though.
Yeah, we should buy stock.
Because they are selling out like crazy in the grocery stores.
What if somebody came out with like a mutual fund that was just diversified about companies that are making high protein foods? I would be in for that. I wouldn't want to buy any single stocks, kind of risk averse to that, but I'd get into a mutual fund with that.
All right.
All right, piece of advice number 4 is to keep your metabolism high, eat a bunch of smaller meals instead of a few big ones. What's your ranking on this piece of advice?
I would give it like a 1.
I'll give it a 0.
I mean, there is no 0, but yeah.
Yeah, but you said halves. I mean, if you can go halves, I'll go 0.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go first on this one? You want me to? All right. So the best analogy I can come up with on this piece of common advice is that your metabolism is not like a campfire that you have to keep stoking and adding logs to throughout the day to keep it burning. You will burn the same number of calories through your metabolism over the course of the day, no matter how many meals you eat or what the size of those meals are. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
I don't think so. They'd rather,
they'd rather
10 small meals.
And if you want to give somebody to blame on this myth, it's definitely the bodybuilders, because they will, like, back in the day, be toting their little lunch bag around that has like 6 meals in it, maybe 8 meals.
A sweet potato just ready to pound after you.
Gotta keep that metabolism cranking. Never want to stop burning calories. Because I didn't pull up the stats on this, but the majority of your calories throughout the day, I think it's 65%, are burned just being alive. So as long as you plan on being alive all day, you're going to continue to burn a lot of calories. The non-exercise activity you do that is just subconscious burns calories. Any workouts that you do burns calories. And then maybe some people are like, well, you got to eat a lot of meals because you want to take advantage of the thermic effect of food. So you're always burning calories throughout the day. If you don't know what that is, that's just the calories you burn digesting the food and extracting the nutrients out of it. But if you intake 10 meals and they add up to 2,000 calories, the thermic effect of those 2,000 calories is the same as if you sat down and ate one 2,000 calorie meal, which is a good pivot into personal preference. Goes a lot into this. Studies have been done that your results are not going to change based on how frequently you eat. But if you have preferences that make consistency, digestion, energy, happiness, whatever, all those kinds of things better for you, then eat your meals however you like. Spread them out, eat them all at once, whatever floats your boat.
Works for you, yeah.
As long as the total calories across the day is the same, that's what matters as far as like whether you're going to gain or lose weight. If anything, I would say if you're somebody who's like, I got to eat 6 times a day to stoke my metabolism to keep it cranking, that's a lot of mental fatigue that you probably don't need. That's a lot of food decisions you have to make. That's probably going to start to give you a weird relationship with food. It's probably going to annoy the other people in your life. And all those food decisions are probably just more opportunities for you to, make a less good decision, honestly. Like if it's like 2 o'clock and I'm not hungry, but I know I got to eat another meal and I'm out and about, I'm like, well, there's Chick-fil-A. I could get a milkshake to keep my metabolism stoked,
I mean, life is busy. Like, we're in the process of moving into this house and everything. And it is hard enough to like get together the breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals, like, and like have complete meals for us. I would, if I was doing that any more times a day, I think I would be like, that's all I feel like I was doing.
Yeah.
Especially if you weren't just, because I think if you are eating 6, 7, 8 times a day, truly eating meals, like it's hard to come up with those meals and get them prepared and like take the time. And you would be eating way more snacks, like you'd be grabbing the Cliff Bar or things like that.
And sometimes those little small 200 calorie meals, they're not satisfying. Like you burn them off and then you're just hungry. Or like if it's a high calorie, low volume food like a protein bar or potato chips or something like that, you're going to be hungry really soon versus if you just sat down and ate a meal. And
I would say that like we get into routines and habits so easily that I think this could be a hard routine to break. If you are used to eating at like 8 a.m., 10:30 a.m., noon, and I think like, you quickly fall into this. Okay, it's 10:30. Where's my 10:30 snack?
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're starting to look for it, even if you try to transition to eating the 3 bigger meals.
I mean, this is a great strategy. Like in times where I've been purposely trying to eat more calories and a surplus to gain muscle, I will have to eat more frequently throughout the day just to get my calories up. So I don't know. I don't know why I brought that up, but it can be a great strategy to gain weight, but you certainly don't have to do it to keep your metabolism cranking to be healthy or to lose weight.
All right, last one.
As you get older, start to take it easier in your workouts.
Ooh, this one is a 0. There can now be a 0 workout. I mean, there can now be a 0 ranking.
Yeah, I'll give it a 0 also then if we're clear to give zeros. But I do hear this, I don't know, every month I hear it somewhere, whether it's like, even like TV shows with scripts. Actors in these shows will say it as part of their character. Take it easy, you're getting
older. Take it easy.
And I think the only way you have to think about this is your fitness, your strength, your muscle mass, your capability, your mobility, they are all subject to the use it or lose it principle of life. So if you
take it easy on anything you don't want to ever be doing again.
Yeah. I mean, if you're okay with losing progress in any area of those things I just mentioned, then take it easy and you will lose your ability.
I really don't get the concept. I really do. People like that is so common. Like, okay, you're getting a little bit older. Why don't you should probably stop doing this. Like, is there like a threshold that we walk through that is like, okay, you turned this age, you can no longer jump. Okay, you turned this age, you can no longer run.
It's that most people, what is the rule called? Confirmation bias. No, that's not the one. I don't know. It's the principle where somebody experiences something for themselves, and therefore they think it should be true for everybody.
And they try to influence it on others, maybe, like even subconsciously. Like, I can't do this because I haven't been doing this, not because like I stopped doing it because I turned a certain age.
Yep. But
then they see you doing it, and they're like, you should probably take that easy. I can't do it. I really don't want you doing it either. And it's probably like a subconscious influence over that other person's life.
Probably not even subconscious. I mean, like your 40-year-old out of shape friend who used to do CrossFit and has been off for 10 years, they decide they're going to start working out again. They go in the gym for the first time, they go right back to the weight that they used to deadlift, they hurt their back, and they determine that now that they're over 40, they just can't deadlift because it hurts your back.
Yeah.
Ignoring all the other lifestyle factors and the poor way that they ramped up into their training had nothing to do with their age. If our goal is to maintain function, to maintain lean muscle, to maintain mobility through life, doing those or for the rest of our life, we have to do those things. Like even on like the basic physiological level, you have to give your body the signal that, hey, I still need to be able to do these things, and the way that I'm going to tell you I need to be able to do them is to do them. That's what tells your body to maintain muscle, using the muscles in an intense way. Jumping is what helps you maintain the coordination to be able to jump and to express power.
I don't know what. Uh-oh. I'm like about to cry. I'm laughing so hard in my head about this quote. I don't know if y'all have seen that show on Netflix called Leanne. She's a comedian. I've watched it like so many times. But the dad is so funny. He's actually like a comedian in real life. And there's something he says in one of the episodes where he's like, at some point I tied my shoes for the last time and I didn't even know it. And this is kind of that thing I'm talking about.
It's so true.
He bent over, he was able to bend over and reach his shoes for the last time and he didn't even know it.
We want to be able to bend over at 90 and still tie our shoes, which is why we're going to do curls and deadlifts and hip thrusts and all those things. And it's not to say that like your training doesn't change as you age. That would be ignorant to say. But the effort has to stay there. You need to have a program to follow that continues to challenge you.
Yeah.
And then like be willing to adjust the things that do need to be adjusted. The most common things are just adjusting the total amount of volume that you do, because it becomes a little bit more difficult to recover from volume as you get older. And there might be things that we have to adjust. Like if you did regular deadlifts for your entire training career and like you're chronically getting back pain with deadlifts, we might need to do a rack pull where we're pulling from a little bit higher position. Making small tweaks like that, but keeping the effort, the intention, and the intensity high so you don't lose that function.
I think right now we're in that phase, almost like we were alive and like functioning adults before the internet came out, young adults.
Define functioning.
Before the internet and computers were regularly in your household and now it's just like all over the place. And I think it's kind of the same thing in the fitness world. I think in another 10 to 20 years, this conversation won't even be necessary, because I really do credit it a lot to CrossFit and things that like young kids are now growing up going into CrossFit gyms and doing these active things with their parents, and they're starting at like 8 years old and they're in CrossFit Kids, and then they are just active, and then they're seeing their parents active and they're seeing their grandparents active, and it's becoming part of their life. And I think that like if they maintain that, like a lot of people will, I think that this is not even like more and more people are going to be doing hard things for longer, and it's not really going to be a topic anymore.
I hope you're right. I think you're onto something there. All right, we gave some zeros to some of these, but we did give there was some decent advice with some nuance mixed in there also. All right, if you made it to the end of this episode, I want to remind you that this is your chance to work with us one-on-one or jump into our coached or uncoached Just Give Me the Workouts program for a pretty sweet discount for the next 2 months. Help us help you stay on track this summer with the 8-week Summer Strength Challenge. Just go to digitalbarbell.com/summerstrength. Use the code SummerStrong when you check out. Strong Summer, so you do save money on that. If you're not already on our email list and you want a reminder to jump in on this before the expiration date or before all 10 spots are gone, send me an email at Jonathan, Jonathan, @digitalbarbell.com, and I'll add you to our email list. All right, we love you guys. We'll catch you next week.